Everybody is, let me unmute everyone. Pretty fun. Let's unmute all the mics, guys. All right, we are on
Francis.
Very cool. Very fun. And we have been live now for 2 minutes-ish. So this live stream is part of the Content Marketing Virtual Summit. And we are here to essentially just have fun and answer some questions. And people have been sending in questions. We've had 12,000 people register, and we had a lot of activity on the first day, 30, 40, 50, many people coming every second, and a few thousand people so far have checked out our intro videos. So the first question is going to be this question here. I'm going to try to display it on the screen. I don't know if you can see it. The first question that has come up is, to start off, by the way, just to introduce the guests on the screen, my name is Jay Sen. I'm one of the hosts of the Content Marketing Virtual Summit. With me is Sophie Hope. She's also one of the co-hosts of the summit, for Content Marketing Virtual Summit 2021. And our guest today, our co-panelist, is Francis Nayan, who's one of the speakers today, very popular speaker on the first day of the summit. So who's an email marketing specialist and an email marketing strategist. So very cool to have you here.
Thank you so much.
So let's start with, let me see if I can rearrange it so I can move you into the top spot here. Ooh, perfect. All right. You're in the hot seat. I love it.
All right. It's intimidating. It's intimidating.
Like
my head is so big.
It's much cooler now.
You are on the hot seat.
People are watching. We got 16 people already. Invite all your friends to watch the live stream, guys. We love to get people watching and asking questions and things like that. So Francis is here. He's going to talk about email marketing and things that are good and bad. The first question I think a lot of people really would love to know is just starting and jumping right in the middle is Francis, what is an email sequence?
Yeah, it's a pretty basic question, and maybe I should have put that in my presentation. But an email sequence is essentially just a series of emails that are sent out to a subscriber, to someone on the email list after an action is taken. So something, for example, like a welcome email sequence is when, it's a series of emails that are sent, really depending on, timing, whether it's, one email after a day after another, after they opt in to join the email list. And, for example, if you have an e-commerce store and, you leave, you abandon your cart, a lot of, big popular thing is for an abandoned cart email sequence to pop up. So that's when you get a few emails kind of coming in every few hours or every few days that remind you that, that your cart is still there, that you did try to buy something. And so basically it's all about creating an engagement or, bringing someone back to, part of the website. But yeah, it's an automation too. So it's something that you can set in place in your ESP. Your ESP is where your email marketing system, your MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or Klaviyo or something like that. So it's a really great way for you to save time and to make something evergreen, kind of semi-evergreen. And it's a really fun thing because you can test out a bunch of different things from subject lines to angle of copy to the different.
Okay, CTAs. I'm going to jump in really quickly. I'm going to be like in and out because we're going to have a bunch of stuff to go through. So kind of to summarize kind of what you shared, the key word here is sequence, because sequence means something happening in an order. And so the critical thing in an email sequence is things happen in an order. And the challenging thing for a lot of people is that they think that they have to write every single email manually, and they have to write an email manually for every customer, and they get overwhelmed. And so the cool thing about your talk and some of the things you've been sharing with us is the idea of an email sequence is, as you mentioned, it's automated. So you're actually building this sequence of emails that will go out on a certain schedule. Like the first one could go out, we'll talk about that in a minute. The second one will go out a few days later sometimes. And so there's a lot of little subtle things to get that timing right. So before we dig in too deep, the next thing so we talked about the sequence and email. This is a kind of a general question. I'll let Sophie phrase this question to you, coming in from the audience. So go ahead, Soaps.
Yeah, this is another question. So what is the relationship between email marketing and content marketing?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. The first thing that kind of comes to mind about the relationship between email and content marketing is one, they can be together in that, in your email system, in your email strategy, your emails can be content. You can give a really good, value. You can give listicles and things like that. Just really any kind of valuable content. But then you can also use your emails to lead to your other parts of your content marketing, which is really great because then you can also boost parts of your email system. So I would say that they can be together, and email content can be in your email, or you can use one to grow the other. So there's also times where you have a blog post or something like that, some piece of content which can lead to signing up for your list, or signing up to an offer that leads to an email sequence, as we just talked about. So they can actually work really well together, but they can also be like as one too. So that's actually a really good question. So I love that.
So so the next question, so that I want to just quickly get into, and I think the email marketing, the content marketing that you talked about, Francis, and Sophie, you had something you want to say, so I'll actually go back to you first. What was your thought?
Yeah, I think that works great. Thanks, Francis, for sharing that. Actually, there's another person, Stephanie, also asked a very similar question. She asked, Jay, if you can put that question on the screen, that would be great. I sent in the chat. Stephanie asked, how do I integrate email marketing with other marketing efforts to boost sales, given I'm the owner of an e-commerce store for nutrition and health supplements, which is a very crowded place.
I think this is quite an advanced question, so let's take this a little bit later. I think that the critical thing is that there is a relationship, as Francis was saying, between your content, which could be your video content or your written content, and your emails. And people sometimes think content's just blog posts or articles or videos, but one of the interesting things is just understanding how they support each other. So, if you're doing regular content publishing, then the emails can actually bring you, you can use that and mention that in your emails. You could say this week we have some new articles, or we have a new post, or we have a new video. So there's some integration and some synergies there. So the next question, I'm going to jump around a little bit. Sophie can ask this one, and I will step out for a second and just get a glass of water. So here's the question here.
Oh, that's a good question. How can I start an email list if I don't have any subscribers right now? That's a really good question. A lot of beginners are wondering that, right? So what do you say, Francis?
Yeah, as someone who, I would say, I just started my email list about sometime like this time last year. And starting an email list is one of those things in which there's really no secret to it, other than you have to go ahead and build either your landing page that kind of promotes your email list, or just have that type of opt-in on your website. If you're leading people to your website, it's great to have that pop-up, to have that little opt-in box at either the top of your page or at the bottom of the page, so people join your list. If you don't use your website too often, I actually personally don't. It's not something I broadcast like a whole lot. Is to create just a simple landing page that you can post on your social media, that you can have other people share, so that when they click on it, it can showcase a little bit about yourself, your expertise, and so then people join in. And that's the organic way of doing it. And that's I haven't used paid ads myself, so I don't think I have much to say about growing your list. I know there are strategies to do that, but I'm not going to say too much about it, just because I've never done ads for myself. And I've always worked with some type of Facebook ads person or a media buyer who knows much more about that. But if you don't have an email list right now, then I would suggest sign up to an ESP. Go with ConvertKit or Mailchimp or ActiveCampaign. Just create a really basic landing page. Doesn't have to be fancy, and just start promoting that. Go on Facebook and tell everyone that you're on your friend list, that you're starting an email list and you're gonna be sharing some really awesome content. Personally, I've seen a lot of people recently just do that. They're just saying, hey, you guys know I've been posting a lot. I actually want to make this more exclusive. Here's a link to my email list if you want to join. And you can even test that out and see how many people, how interested people are. I've seen people just ask, I'm starting my own email list. Would you be interested in joining? And there'll be like 80 comments of being like, hell yeah, I want to join. So I think that's just a good way to start. I mean, of course, it's going to be pretty slow at first if you don't have that big of an audience. But like everything in business, it's kind of a process. It's going to feel good when you get your first 5 subscribers, and you get that first 100 and the first 200, and it's as long as you show up every day, then your email list will grow. But I would just do those 2 things. Have something on your website so people can opt in, and create a landing page.
Okay, I think just so that I also mention to the people viewing, it will help us a lot and help us to keep promoting and producing great content, having great guests. If you would like the video and comment on the video, as we're going through the questions in your comments, write your thoughts. I mean, do you have any thoughts in the comments about, are you nervous to start growing your subscriber list? Or do you have a subscriber list already? We'd love to see your comments as we're going live. Feel free to write comments right in the middle, and you can leave more than one. So just to summarize your point, a lot of people are scared to start building a email list. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. But the first one is because in the beginning, it doesn't look like anything's happening. But it could be happening, right? It could be growing slowly, but you just start and you start building it, and you keep thinking of ways to make that list valuable. Give something valuable, and we'll talk more about what it means to have a good landing page, maybe in another live session here. Okay, so the next question that I'm gonna display here, and Sophie will ask it, is going to be this one.
That's a good one. What does conversational tone in email writing mean? Oh, this is going to be a really good one, especially when it coming from Francis Nayan, the email copywriting and also strategist of so many brands. So Francis, please.
Yeah, well, conversational tone, it really does mean different things for different people, different businesses. I mean, essentially, conversational tone is just the opposite of your typical business jargon. Conversational tone is how you talk to someone else. And, there's no way to be like, you use these words or you use these phrases or anything like that, just because the way I have conversation with, my friend or, anyone who's like really close to me is going to be different from, let's say, maybe Jay talks to somebody else. We kind of have our own like different way of speaking. So it's all about being as personal as possible and leaving all of that business jargon, throw it out the window and write as if you're just speaking to a friend. And I think it's a really powerful thing because, one, you're going to be standing out from the typical businesses who, stay in that kind of corporate kind of vernacular. I think that's the word to use, vocabulary, vernacular. And so it's also really great also because when you develop your own conversational tone and you can infuse your personality in your writing, then you can attract people who really like you, not just because you have really great content or you have like an awesome business model, but because you have a really cool personality. People really connect with you on that. I know people who I write in my own conversational tone in my own personal emails, and people have said, I love your work, I love that content. But then there's other people who are like, you write really weird, like it sounds like you're in a bar and it makes no sense. But that's the whole point of it, at least that makes me memorable. they might not like me, but at least there's like an emotion attached to me. So yeah, just to answer the question, conversational tone is just writing in a way that you would speak to someone face to face. I think John Carlton had this really good, I think, analogy in his simple writing system course, which was anytime you promote something, then the way you write is imagine that person in front of you in a bar. And I think that's always good to keep in mind anytime you write really any kind of promotion. So.
Very cool. I think what's nice about the way that you shared that is people are nervous, and when they're nervous, they oftentimes become formal. So they'll sort of drift towards becoming formal, and they want to make it perfect, and they're scared of seeming silly. They're scared of seeming unprofessional, and so they end up, becoming very stiff. And so I think that's a really interesting thing. It's just literally imagine yourself talking to a friend about your product or service, and you're excited about it and you want to share it with them. Maybe they don't know about your product or service yet. What would you say? Or imagine if you're doing something very professional, that you're meeting someone that you connect with at a conference and you're talking to them in person. What would you say about your product and service? So there's quite a lot in there that could be very interesting to dive into. Okay, so the next question, we're going to drift back and forth here. We're going to go back to this one here, which is how many days? I'll let Sophie go ahead and ask the question. Go ahead.
Right. So how many days between emails is good for welcome sequence, for a welcome sequence email?
Yeah. Personally, in my experience, it's best to do it a day apart because that welcome sequence is important for that first impression. And it's really good to have that frequency in just because you want engagement right from the beginning. So it's very similar to when you meet somebody for the first time. Maybe you meet them at a party, at someone's house or something, and maybe you hit it off. You like them, they like you. I think the worst thing that you would do is probably get their number, message them one time, and then that's it for 3 weeks. And then they're gonna be like, all right, maybe we weren't great. He didn't talk to me for 2 or 3 weeks. So, but on the other hand, if you were messaging each other every day and trying to keep connected, then that's a lot more powerful than having too much time in between. So me personally, I like to do every day, and it doesn't have to be a very long welcome sequence. It really does depend on your offers and your brand and things like that. But I like to do one day apart. And I just think that's the best way to keep people coming back to the company and to you if you're a solopreneur. So yeah, I've seen it also where companies do 3 days apart. But if you do 3 days apart, then you're gonna need more consistency. So it can't just be of course a 7-day welcome sequence, because then that's only 2 emails. And the content has to be really relevant. So I would say it's the more time you put in between, the more sophisticated and the more thought you need to have in your content. But just to answer the question fast, just to have 1 day apart between each is the best way to go about it.
I think what's interesting about that as well is you brought up some kind of a little bit deeper thinking about it, which is if you're doing 1 day apart, you don't have to write really long emails because there's going to be another one coming. And so it's more like a conversation that's short and relevant and happening slowly, you're building up kind of the conversation with people. So the next question is kind of digging deeper at the front end of that, right? So Sophie, please
I
go
was
ahead.
about to ask this question actually. Right. So what are some things to say in the first welcome email?
Yeah. So I would say there are many things you can say in the first welcome email. One, first, congratulate them for being part of this welcome email sequence. Give them what they want if there was some type of freebie that you were offering them, but then also make them feel good that they're part of the list. You can broadcast your story. You can broadcast, recent successes, but it's really great to really do anything more than saying, thanks for joining the list. Here's your stuff. And then that's it, which is something that I've noticed 90% of businesses do. I have my own kind of swipe email account in which I just opt in to a bunch of lists every week. And a lot of the times it's just like, hi, welcome to this brand. Stay updated to the latest news updates and discounts, and then like nothing else happens after that. That's not very unforgettable. It's one of those things that you're going to be like, all right, like whatever. I'm not too excited. So you need to think about what's going to make your audience excited to get your email, and that should be put in your first welcome email. So I've seen things like, it'll be like, hi Jay, I can't believe you joined my email list. Once I saw your name pop up in my system, I started jumping up and down. You're going to look at that and be like, wow, that's awesome. But you need to think about what's going to be really good to have in your first welcome email. And then there are little tricks that you can have to improve your engagement. So, you can create a bit of an open loop and preview the next email. So then people will be thinking, oh, wow, that sounds really cool. I have to look out for the next email. And recently, I've also seen a lot of people ask for a reply back, reply with the word done or, some cheesy word, because that'll boost like email deliverability and like the sender score. But yeah, the first thing to say in the welcome email should be something to make them feel good and to really jump out at them. You really want to have that kind of that special feeling after they see your first email. So you can start conditioning them to continue opening your future emails.
So I'm going to go to this one because this one just came up. Sophie?
So what is an open loop?
Yeah, so an open loop is essentially the best way to look at it is like in a physical standpoint, if you look at a circle, the circle is the copy of your email, it's the message of your email, but then you don't actually complete it. So an open loop is leaving that circle open and just so you can complete it at the next email. So it's about pretty much, I think that's probably the worst way to explain it because it's like 7 a.m. here and I'm like thinking of that. So if you were to think of your favorite show, for example, like Game of Thrones or something, it's very tense. There's a story going on and there's a lot of plot happening. And then at the end, there's building a lot of tension and you're waiting for the story to conclude. And then right before, someone dies or something, the whole show stops. Just so you can build anticipation for the next episode. And that's what an open loop is. It's a way that you can build anticipation for your next email. So then all the emails are connected and, it's essentially giving a bit of a story element to your emails. It might not be doesn't have to be like a real like story or anything, but something as good as a preview of, not ending the message completely, just so you can lead to the next email. That's what an open loop is. And so I think I've written about open loops a whole lot, and I always use the example of like the show The Walking Dead or like Game of Thrones of like, leaving the ending open just so you can wait for the next piece of content. So I think that's
a really interesting thing, and it's a little bit of an advanced email marketing, copywriting, and content marketing idea, which is that a lot of people think that when you start an email, your job is to just give them everything right in that one email. And actually, a lot of people think that leave people wanting a little bit more, leave people a little bit curious. Curiosity doesn't have to be completely quenched in the middle of the email. You could have a question and then say, you could even end on a question or have a question and partially answer it, and then get the reader involved in replying and say, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? I think that's really interesting. Some of the best email writers I've seen ask questions and get the reader involved. Like, what's your opinion? I have this opinion. What do you guys think? I think that's great. So for people who are listening right now, just to kind of request you guys to comment, what are you learning? Do you guys understand what the open loop is? It's something you guys have known for a long time. Have you been using it in any of your email marketing? Have you been using it in any of your content marketing? Would love to get comments from you below the video. And if you have any things that you would specifically like to dive into, definitely write a comment, and we'll also try to include that in the list of questions that have been submitted. So here's another one that I think is kind of interesting, maybe not completely related to the open loop, but has some potential relationship to the open loop, is this one.
How do you get someone to finish reading your email? This is a very good question.
Yeah, so I would say, right off the bat, there's like two ways to do it. One is to be a really good writer, and there's really no way around that. You just need to practice writing really well and having really good succinct writing skills. Because I think we've all been there where we see maybe a long form email, and then maybe even in the beginning or midway through, or even maybe sometimes towards the end, you're like, I don't even know why I'm reading this. This is like way too long. And it's no knock on anyone, but the best way to have someone finish your email is one, just to be a really good writer, and two, to have that engagement with the reader from the beginning. It's one of those things in which you have to condition your readers to love your emails, and you do that from the welcome sequence, and you do that with your content. And so just practicing and creating that engagement in that relationship with your reader, they're always going to finish those emails. I mean, of course, there are other ways to go about it. Like you can do some type of future pacing in the email, or some type of a sneak peek towards the end. You may see that of like, you're reading an email, then they'll put, I'll talk more about that later. And so then you're going to want to read more about it. So, that is a way to have someone finish reading your emails, and, just to build that curiosity. What is there are different types of emails that help with that. That's topical emails. That's more like what's going on with the news today. Those type of like email promotions or story-based emails that, you're going to really rely on your writing skills and your storytelling skills. Or, there's the crazy contrarian emails that kind of lead with the opposite of what you're thinking. So then, you're reading it and you're like, wow, this guy, he led with something that's the complete opposite of my thought. I want to hear him out because I don't want to be wrong, So it's also, the type of emails can really help out with that, because those are really interesting and really, that might be kind of like a weird answer, but you just have to maintain the interest of your reader. And that means writing well. That means having good content. So, yeah.
I think what's cool about what you just said, Francis, and we're getting some interesting comments too, and I'd love to get more comments. I mean, this is as interactive as you guys can make this, who are listening and watching, the more fun it's going to be for Francis and for us. So definitely love your comments, and don't be shy. So one of the things that's interesting about what you said is you can have fun with writing emails. You can actually enjoy it, and you can. What I thought was really cool about what you just said is like, write an email where you take a controversial opinion. I mean, don't be a jerk, don't be obnoxious, but consider a controversial opinion. And I'm just going to have fun with it for a second and throw one out, right? Like, let's say the controversial opinion is, I think that people work too hard and they should sleep all day. Monday should be a sleep day, right? That's just, it's silly. That doesn't make much sense, but it's still a good exercise. Or the opposite kind of controversial opinion is sleep is unnecessary. I don't believe in it, right? Now, so you can just imagine, like, that's just an example. And there's so many different little things around that people can play with that would get people to go, wait a minute, I don't agree with that. What's this guy going to say next? So I think that this is the kind of thing that you're sort of sparking in the way you're sharing this with us. I'll pause for a minute because it sounds like you have something percolating, something coming up.
Oh, no. I was just agreeing with you. And yeah, I mean, that's just something I've also seen a whole lot, like lately, with a lot of people in, the biz ops space or even the health space. I think I was looking at a few emails just like yesterday, and one of the subject lines was like, it was like from a health company, and it was like, stop dieting, and that was like their subject line, or, it was like, eat all the carbs or something. And of course the email had to do, the email had to do with like why the carbs are good. And, it was like the difference between good carbs and bad carbs or something. You're going to read that.
I really like that. That's really interesting, is really think about it like from that point of view, like who are your extreme fans and who are the people you want to even, go further with. Okay. So the next question, Sophie, is on deck.
Next one is it a good idea to use someone's email? I'm sorry, is someone's name in the subject?
Yeah, well, just straight up, I think it's a great idea, just because you're going to be like, well, that's my name, People love their name. Of course, as marketers, we all know that. But the thing is, you can't do it too much. Because if you do it too much, then it's going to seem really unnatural. And then it really is going to seem like someone's in an automation. I mean, I've seen that before where even now, I think there's someone in like the music space he's sending emails to his list, and every email that I get is like, Francis, sign up, or Francis, do you know this? And I'm like, oh man, like I know you're just putting the first name placeholder there. And then
they do it right in the subject.
Yeah, like right in the subject.
Wow.
And yeah, and I'm like, that's not very natural. I mean, I don't even think my mom like types my name like that much. So it's one of those things where I think it is good if you use it strategically and you use it. You don't overdo it. I think that's the main thing, because it won't come off as natural. I think when you have like a welcome sequence or you really want somebody's attention, then yeah, definitely use it, but definitely don't overuse it, because then it just comes off as a bit tacky and
I'm
kind of salesy marketing.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by that reply, because I was thinking that using people's first name in an email would be just like a no-no. So here's a follow-up question to that.
So what are some common mistakes people make in their email subjects?
Yeah, I would assume that meant the email subject lines. And I would say the most common mistake is one, like just being very generic with it. I mean, I think we all know, we've all had those promotions where it's like 10% off today, or we have a sale today, or discounts on men's collection, or something like that. So something that doesn't seem personal and is way too businessy, salesy, that's one of the biggest mistakes that someone has. I think a lot of e-commerce businesses, a lot of the businesses I work with kind of have that issue where it's just too generic, and that's bad. You may be thinking, oh, it's great, I'm sending off a discount, and you can do that, maybe once every few weeks and, using it sporadically. But if you do that consistently, then you're conditioning your reader to be like, oh, they're just trying to sell me something. Or, their subject lines are pretty boring, so maybe their content's going to be boring. And so I would say, that would be the biggest mistake, is not having any personality or anything really unique about the subject line. And on the other hand, the best way to build a subject line is to make it as personal as possible and to make it as human as possible. One of my favorite copywriters who has a really great email list, Laura Belgray, her subject lines are always something like, I pooped my pants, or like the subject line is like, my husband hates me, or something like that. Or those are things that are like, she has a business, of course, but it's really awesome how humid it is. And she may be her own like brand, but there are businesses, like, for example, like one of my favorite e-commerce companies is like Chubbies. They sell like the little shorts, and like their subject lines are always like, everyone sees my legs, or something like weird like that. I think those are the best ways to really stick out from the sea of emails that people get every day.
Cool. So the next question that has come up is I'm going to get into something that's a little bit that this will probably jazz people to get your thoughts on this one. So let's get into this one. I think this is a really interesting question. And by the way, love the comments, love likes, love shares. So please, do interact with us, because this is for everyone listening, and would love to get your feedback, your comments, your questions. So keep doing that. Okay. We love the questions.
So this one, is it possible to generate 30% of sales from email marketing?
Well, yeah, of course. This is something you can, especially if you work with me, wink, wink. But no, I'm just joking. No, you can definitely do it. Is it easy? Definitely not. I mean, and 30% is kind of like the goal that a lot of e-commerce businesses go. And I know a lot of my colleagues in the email strategist space, that's something that they also kind of talk about with their clients, and a goal they try to reach. But in order to do that, you need to have a lot of care You need to implement a lot of testing, and there are a lot of automations in place to do that. So if you're going to reach 30% of sales, with email, then it's going to be hard to do that solely with manual broadcasts, and it's going to be hard to do that solely with one manual broadcast, a week. So I know when I worked in the agency setting and as a freelancer, that the automations were a big bulk of that 30%. So you need to have those priority kind of automations, those flows. If you use Klaviyo, the welcome sequence, the browse abandonment, cart abandonment, post-purchase, and then there's a flurry of other automations you need to hit that 30% mark. And then there's a lot of testing involved. It's the last thing the thing you shouldn't do is just to create these emails and put them in, and it's just like one email, just like a set of like 6-7 emails without testing. Have different split tests with each email, whether you do subject lines, preview lines, maybe even the color of the CTA is something I've tested before. Is it should we use like something blue? Should the button be black? Should it be a button, or should it be like a link that's linked to a word and there's an arrow there? So there's a lot that you can do, but you can generate 30% sales through email, and you can do more. One of my clients right now, we're a little above 50, I think like 54% all through email. And that's just because, we've done a whole lot that we've spoken about today, which is creating a really good welcome sequence, creating that engagement, creating a bit more personality and more of a human touch. I didn't want to say human touch, but maybe more human element to it. So, maybe you have a human touch. That'd be awesome marketing. But just to answer the question, you can definitely do that. But there's a lot of work that's involved, and you really need to put on your marketing hat, like hardcore, to make it happen.
All right. So this is kind of like another follow-up question really quickly.
Right. So what are split tests in email marketing?
Yeah. So a split test is essentially just a test that you do to see how something performs. So an easy split test could be, let's say you have an automation and you want to test out a subject line. So instead of just having one email kind of set in place, you can create a split test, an A/B test, where you test one subject line and then you test the other. And so you literally just split the people who receive kind of email, so you can see, how are the open rates doing, or you can split test, as I said, the CTAs, and you can see how one kind of CTA does compared to another one. So that's essentially a split test. It's all about it's just a test of how what performs better and what does better in regards to the entire strategy.
So I'm going to give Francis a little bit of a chance to take a drink of water, and I'll summarize a little bit of what we've talked about so far. So we started out just today talking about what is a sequence, and in a sequence, it's about having a number of emails that come out over time, one after the other, and there's an order to them. That's why it's called a sequence. And then we talked a little bit about personality and making your emails, somebody want to read your email and finish reading your email. And one of the things that was discussed is this idea called an open loop, and there were other things also discussed, such as having a personality and making it fun and not making it boring. But that's really a great thing to dig into. Okay. So here's a question I think that ties into that, which is email, kind of related a little bit to email burnout. So let's see what you think about this one. Sophie?
Right. So this one, how frequently should I offer a product versus information or values content?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I think the answer you may not like, because the answer is that you really just have to understand what your audience values. Every store and every business, their audience wants different things. Some companies, their audience wants discounts, and all they want is discounts. So that's what you have to focus on, while others are more about the content. So they want more information and they want more value. And so you can lead with that and see, what works best, while others are completely different and they want to learn about other businesses. And that's where you have your kind of affiliate kind of model there. So, but you can also, if you really want like a real an answer that maybe is, I guess, quicker to understand, is in kind of a model that you can start with testing, is like that Gary Vaynerchuk model of jab, 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 right hook. So, you can go with the value, for 3, 4, 5 emails, but then have that 6th email, that 5th email be the, where you offer the product. But then you can also make it interchangeable, or not interchangeable, but you can also inject the product in the information or value, and that way you can have a bit of almost like an advertorial in an email, where you're literally giving information and value, even in a listicle standpoint, and you can infuse your product in there, so the information is about the product. So that's one of those things, is people are always saying, give value, and never sell anything. You have a business, you have to sell things. Your information is selling, and your information is about the product. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, is that you're not, if you're giving information just for the sake of information, then I think you should change that up, and make sure that the content that you're sharing is selling. You're not just giving information; it's information that sells. So I mean, if you want to go with the Gary V model of content, and then have that product offer towards the end, around that 4th, 5th, 6th email, and kind of go with that cycle, I think that's a smart way to go about it. I know that's something that I do when I'm testing it out and seeing what works. So yeah, I would say definitely, don't go with the product like all the time, unless it's very blatant that your audience loves a good discount. Personally, I do have a client who's their audience loves like a discount on the products that he has. So we kind of frame different kind of reasons to have a discount here and there, but we do our best not to do it like with every email. So yeah, if you want to do the Gary Vee model, then I definitely say lead with that.
Awesome. Thank you. So I think we're going to go to this one, which relates a little bit to some of the things we've been talking about, but maybe brings up some topics that you can touch on in terms of best practices or things that you think people aren't doing.
Right. So this one, what does it mean to use personalization in email templates?
Yeah. So I don't 100% understand the question, but I would assume how to make these emails a bit more personalized. Would you say?
I think what they're trying to get at is that there are different variables that are available, and so for example, maybe the variable could be like the geography they're in, or it could be their name, or it could even be like what kind of product they were interested in. So when you have all those different variables available, like how could you utilize them properly, or what types of variables should you be including, especially for an e-commerce email sequence?
Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking about like the email templates, like, when you go to your ESP and you choose like, newsletter style or like single product. I was like, well, those aren't really personal. I think that's the point. But yeah, to make your emails a bit more personalized is, you need to gather that data of the people you're sending those emails to. And you do that by tagging them, segmenting them, really on what they're doing. And, yeah, you can find different ways to, different things to tag them and segment them through, the geography, whether they're male or female, even age groups. I've seen that with health supplement companies. And so that's what it means to really make your emails more personal, and to make the content that they're receiving more tailored to them. So instead of just sending out promo after promo of being like, all right, let's do a 20% off discount here. It's like, instead of just doing a 20% off discount to store wide and to everyone, why not do a 20% discount to just people who almost checked out this item but didn't within the last month? Maybe they just needed that nudge. And so that's personal, because you actually know that you actually know what kind of behavior they've been doing the last month, and you use that to create a very personalized email. And of course, you can use the first name in there, and that's something that's always good to have in the emails, to have like that hi, Francis, hi, first name in there. But to have as much data as you can, just so you can create something a bit more tailored and unique, other than your typical store-wide sale to everyone on the list. As it's powerful if you just infuse something more tailored than something so normal.
So I think we're coming up on the sort of the end of the chat right now. So the the one final question that I'm going to be putting up there is going to be this one. We still are getting some really good questions here, so I'll just add this one last one here. I think this is actually the subject of your talk. So this would be a good question, I think, for us to have as the final question today. 1 second, I got to show it.
There you go. That's the one. So how to ensure our email reach potential customer primary inbox instead of going into the promotion folder? Yeah,
well, that's definitely what my talk's about. So if Kamal, you should definitely check out my talk. But yeah, I mean, that's just email deliverability. That's all about engagement. I think if I was to not go over every point of my talk and just talk about what is the how is it that your emails can reach the primary inbox, is all about engagement, is making sure that your readers interact with your emails. So that's making sure that they open, that they share, that they click, that they open repeatedly, because then the algorithms are going to notice that you like those emails. So then the algorithms are going to make sure they get sent to the primary inbox. And of course, there's a lot of things that you have to kind of worry about, is, making sure that there's not too many images, or you don't have any, you don't have too many spammy words in there, like the word free or sale. You can have those in there, but you would need to kind of dilute it with like more words. It's what I've noticed. But yeah, just to answer the question, is make sure that the engagement is up there. And that's one of the things, is like, if you have good content and people are reading your emails, you can literally break every rule in the book. You can have a lot of images. You can have those spammy words, just because the algorithm is going to make sure that those emails that you send out are being sent to people who like them and who read them. So yeah, have good content, keep them engaged.
So we are at the end of today's live Q&A, and it was pretty awesome, I think. Good questions, good dialogue, some really, I think, of almost a fun experience to go through the whole thing. It was a lot of fun. And I just want to say thank you, first of all, to the speaker who came on today and did the live Q&A, Francis, and also to my co-host, Sophie. And so 12,000 people registered for this, and it's been an amazing experience to see the speakers provide value to the community in the Content Marketing Virtual Summit. So thanks so much, Francis, and have a wonderful day, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you. Tomorrow is going to be a full day of amazing speakers. So let me just see if I can quickly pull that up. And I will just pull that up for a second, and so you guys can see the schedule for tomorrow. And then I will close out the session today. So 1 second, if I can do that. Maybe I can't. My computer is being a little bit weird. So 1 second, let me just see. Okay, so I think I'm okay. Here we go. Finally, it's back. All right. You know what? Let's go to this. Go to the page, and you'll see there's a speaker schedule. So just go to that speaker schedule, and that's where you'll see the schedule for tomorrow. I think I'll leave it at that for now. And glad you guys are here. Let me just quickly see here.
I can share my screen if you want.
Yeah, great. Let me see if I can get it up 1 second. and I'll take a drink of water. Live. This is a live stream, right? So people are allowed to have a drink of water and things like that. Yeah, you can share your screen. That's great. And just bring up tomorrow's schedule. That'd be fantastic. If you can do that, that's great.
Share screen. So you should be able to see it. Now, are you able to see this?
It is. Okay, I'm going to move this guy out to stream. And I'm going to make that, the, yeah, that's perfect right there. Okay, awesome.
Right. So
you
do you want me to go through the date? Yeah, that's
just go
right.
through to just quickly go through tomorrow. All right, you can just bring up tomorrow, and I'll just read off the names for tomorrow. So tomorrow we have Robert Bly, why content marketing sucks and how to make yours look better. We have Daniel, who's going to talk about creating an about page that attracts people to your company and to your brand. Kelly will talk about creating full service marketing to your writing clients. Todd's going to talk about utilizing brand strategy to build connection with your audience. Lisa's going to talk about engaging with fresh and unique content. Neha's going to talk about topic clusters and topic cluster planning. Daniro is going to talk about creating content as a foundation for your client's social media success. So all that's coming up tomorrow. And see you guys in the conference and see you for tomorrow's Q&A. And thank you so much, Francis. And that's it, guys. See you all in the next session. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye.